Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Boss Talks. I am Christine Drummond, one of the co-hosts of this incredible podcast, and I'm here with my co-host Joel Lord. And today we're going to be talking about and really acknowledging a topic that's becoming a bit of an epidemic out there, and it's loneliness within the entrepreneurship and business owner realm and world. And we're going to touch on that today, but we really want to really not just respect and acknowledge your time and congratulate you for listening in on our podcast. And we want to say hi to all our regular listeners as well. But we really want to ask you that if you love this information, if you find value in this information, all we ask is that you share it with other people, because we're trying to get our ratings up. We want to be known as one of the best podcasts getting around, because we cover a lot of topics. We give you a lot of information. This is free information. We don't charge a fee for this. We don't get anything monetarily out of this podcast. We're just literally learning as we go along, and everything that we're learning, we implement, we test it, and then we regurgitate it back to you guys so that you can learn and grow, and you don't have to waste thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars pouring it into course after course after course. You can just learn from our mistakes and our journey and really win at life. So today we're talking about, loneliness in the entrepreneurial world or the business owner world. And I've been reading an article today in Forbes, and it's, the Harvard Business Review. If you're a business owner, you've probably read that review quite a few times, but they did some research around this. And what they found in one of the surveys that they did was that 50% of CEOs were actually feeling, loneliness in their role. But the scary thing was that it's actually more for first-time solo entrepreneurs. And Joel and I, we run our businesses from home, and it's really easy to get stuck in your own world. You get stuck behind the computer, you get stuck behind, social media, and you don't venture out and meet a lot of people. But there's things that you can do, and I'll talk about this later in the call, that you can do to be able to combat some of this loneliness so that you don't feel alone, so you know that you're not the only one going through this, and that you can find other people that are in the same boat. But Joel, I just want to bring you in here. Like, you've got a bit of a story around this, haven't you?
Yeah, well, I do. And for many years, I have done multiple different roles, and I was working in a supermarket, and like being the CEO of that was challenging. And you sort of you're kind of the bridge between the reality of what the risks are of business and your staff. So you're sort of in this. So when things go wrong and things are getting tight and challenging and far out, there was many times of those. Like I had at one stage, in just one of my businesses, I had 65 staff that relied on me to, like, just like the sun rose every day and set, that every week they would get a paycheck. And there were weeks there where I was like, I can't handle another call coming in asking for money. I might go broke. And that wasn't just for a couple of weeks. That's a reality of business. Like, cash flow gets challenging, things get challenging, and you can be that's one way you can really feel isolated, because you don't want to take that home to your family. So you kind of bottle it up, and you can get really isolated, and it can be like a pressure cooker, because the last thing you want is for your staff to be worrying. And the last thing you want, like, because, like, they're there for a paycheck. They might respect you, but they're there for a paycheck, and you can't blame them. So that's one way you can get super isolated and, like, be lonely, because you just don't think you can talk to someone. And at that age, I was like in my early 20s. And when I was living through this, I went into this when I was like before I was 19. So I was 19 all the way through to when I was about 34. And there's some challenging times over those 14, 15 years in that. And yeah, like, who can you talk to? I didn't even know about mentors. I didn't know anything about coaches. I didn't know where to really turn. And the people that I did have access to were like, she'll be right. And that's not adequate, you know. And I guess they were right. I was right in the long run, and I did find a way. But you know, you look at the business statistics, and it's not always like that. And you know, throughout my time, I guess another part of my story where I felt very lonely was when I was on the road. I was on the road like 5-6 days a week, just doing everything I could for my family back home. And you know, I can just share with you, like, two of my kids, it was a absolute miracle that I was there to watch them get born. I was even there. Like, I was away. And if my wife went into labor while I was like 2,000 kilometers away, like, how was I going to get back in time? Like, you know, and you miss so many things. You're missing first words, first steps, and all that stuff. And it's what people do when they're paying the price in a lot of times to become successful, to have the things that others can never have. And it can be lonely. I remember being away, just laying in my bed, just like missing my family like hell. And you know, like, what can I do? I'm 2,000 k's away. You get on the phone and you have a chat with them. And that was really before there was too much video chats as well, too many video chatting ways. So you get on the phone, and then, you know, your kids might be distracted playing with a toy. So they don't even they want to talk to you, but then they're off and they're young. And you can really feel me on the fact that you can feel very isolated and lonely. And hey, it's challenging. So yeah, like I totally get with the rise of the entrepreneur. And we're talking about entrepreneurs, like, I do want to make a distinction, and I'm not poo-pooing on the second category. I'm talking about CEOs and entrepreneurs that are actually doing something, not the ones that just put it on their Facebook title and pretend that they're the CEO of some company when their company's not doing it. I mean the actual ones that are actually doing the work, sitting in front of a computer, you know, got the light on her face, doing a podcast, because it's, you know, and we would be doing this at 11 o'clock at night if we had to, because we've got to get this content out because it's part of our mission, you know. And that's the same as back in the day. We don't have the luxury of like letting yourself off the hook or always getting to what you're doing. So like, I'm super passionate about this because like, I've lived it. So yeah, I get it. No wonder it's crazy now.
I love that, mate. And you've brought up a few good points there. And the reason why we wanted to do this podcast in the first place was because isolation can lead to other things. So it can lead to depression and disconnection and anxiety and overwhelm and, you know, and extra stress, you know. So the reason why I want to do this podcast is to let you know that you guys aren't alone. First and foremost, is that there's other people going through exactly the same thing that you're going through. And we understand, both Joel and I understand the difficulties it is in starting a brand new business. And, you know, I've had multiple businesses over the years, and it's tough, you know, and you've got to market yourself. You've got to be the marketing department. You've got to be the accounting department. You've got to be the sales team. You've got to be front of house, back of house, you know, and it can get exhausting. And it's really hard to nurture existing friendships when you're trying to get a business off the ground and successful, and it looks like all your existing friends are out there having a great time, living life, weekends off, spending time with family, and you're, you know, putting in the hard yards behind the scenes. So guys, it's okay to be alone for a little bit, but long term, it's going to be detrimental to your physical health, your spiritual health, your mental health. And that's why we want to really give you some tools and resources today that are going to arm you to allow you to be able to combat this loneliness that you're feeling, okay? Now, the first thing I want to talk about is, you know, really nurturing an online community, really finding like-minded individuals, whether they're, you know, in the same industry as you, the same profession as you. It's so easy. There's so many groups and communities out there on social media that you can connect with and go and get to know people. Go and ask a question in these groups. What challenge are you having? And building relationships in there. You know, I often bounce ideas off people in like-minded groups around challenges that I'm having that is relatable to the group. And then everyone in the group benefits from it, okay? So don't be afraid to go out there and, you know, connect with people online, socially, through social media, because there's a survey that shows that almost 59% of people who reported to feeling less lonely when they were online, as opposed to 82% who found it easier to talk about being lonely when online. So admitting to loneliness is often the first step to seeking help. Okay. And then the second tip I would say is go out and network. There's so many networking events and meetup groups for people for your profession, or if you're a female in business, there's women in business events, there's men in business events. There's so many support networks out there, and they hold all sorts of amazing events where they get guest speakers in, and they really address the challenges that we all face as business owners. Doesn't matter sometimes what profession you're in, they accept everyone from all professions. And just going along and speaking to a couple of people and hearing their challenges, you start to realize that maybe your problems aren't that big. Maybe, this is not that big of a deal, but it allows you to connect with people and build relationships and new friendships that, should you have to pick up a phone and talk to someone, now you've got people that are there and, you've built that relationship with. The third thing is really, finding an accountability partner. So finding someone that holds you accountable to your word, holds you accountable to your actions. We see a lot of people that say they want something or they want to achieve something, but then they procrastinate. They set these goals as if they're going to live forever. And the reality is, guys, that our days are numbered. We have no idea how long we've got left on this planet. So why would you procrastinate on something that you would love to do, that would fulfill you, that would, bring joy to your life? And why would you take forever to get there? Why not start working on it now? So having an accountability buddy really holds you accountable to what it is that you want to achieve. And this could be a mentor as well, or a coach. Coaches and mentors are amazing because you're paying someone to coach or mentor you, so you're more likely to actually do the activities because you now have an invested interest. Okay, you've got skin in the game, and that's why coaches work. That's why personal trainers work, because you're paying for the service. Yeah, and it's going to be more painful if you pay for the service and you don't turn up or you let yourself down. Okay, so that's why coaching works. That's why having an accountability person works. Okay. And then the last one is, really celebrating achievements as much as you can. So, having those to-do lists and celebrating everything, celebrating the breakthrough, celebrating the small wins, celebrating getting through your to-do list, or even getting through a quarter of it. Joel always says, celebrate everything you do approximately right, because that's always moving you further and further towards your goals and your aspirations. So, there's a few little quick tips, Joel, that I've added in there, but have you got anything else that, you'd love to add in that can sort of help people combat loneliness? What's worked for you?
Well, when everything, so you're hearing about my success and my road to entrepreneurial success and the promised land. And if you've been listening to the podcast, my story. Just a quick recap. I got to where I looked very successful, and I guess I was successful. The numbers didn't lie. And what seemed like it felt very quick overnight after all those years of working my backside off and making things happen, and all the loneliness and all the stress, and the stress came out in me in anger, really. I wouldn't explode too much outside, but it was like I'd bottle it up. So I was very angry at my situation. So what ended up happening is it ended up disappearing overnight. And then I didn't have all that. So all the time that I'd been lonely and all the stuff that I'd put off and all the promises I'd made all went away. So what that was, there's so many lessons in it, but the lesson in it is living, the difference between living in abundance and living in scarcity is a razor edge. What I could have left that situation far earlier than I did. I'm talking a decade earlier. I didn't have to stay there, but what I believed was that was my shot. That's what entrepreneurs do. You work your face off until you make something happen. You bring something into being that no one else could see. And I guess I did do that, but at what cost? And now this time like, and I didn't do any traveling. I didn't do anything. I was just literally like, people used to make fun of me that I didn't go past the north of the town's roundabout. They're like, oh, shivers, he's gone to Berry, because I used to live in Nowra. Like he's gone 15 miles north of the roundabout. It's crazy. And I'm like, well, like, I'm a guy that didn't go to schoolies. That's a crazy party you do when you leave school in Australia. And I didn't go because I thought I'm going to get a job while there's heaps of jobs going on before everyone gets back. So I did all those things. Like, I did do the sacrificing, but since losing it all and then gaining it, like, I've been able to travel the world. I've been able to like build businesses that like fill me up instead of drain me, and have all the time that I want with my kids. I choose like Christine, we've got this tour coming up, and we got to put it in between the birthdays of our family because we got to choose when we wanted to put it on. We weren't getting held down by like a business that didn't give us flexibility, that didn't give us, and look, we're going to go away. We're going to be gone for days, and we're going to miss our family. But by comparison of that, doing that like 300 days a year to 20 days a year, that's like amazing. And, like, the kids need a break from this anyway, don't they? So like, what I want, like, my tip is, ask yourself, are you living in scarcity? And the easiest way to know that is, are you asking yourself, am I able to have this and that, or am I living in a this or that? If it's this or that, like, can I do the podcast and go for a run today? Or am I living in scarcity where I have to do the podcast or go for a run? I can't do both. You know what I mean? So like, can you live happily with your business and see your family and have a successful business? Or is it, look, I've got to sacrifice everything to get this business going, or not have a business and spend all my time with my family? And look, that is a razor edge. That is like, that's a tight edge to be on. Like, you can easily fall like into scarcity like that. Like, and that's why I have a coach. That's why we've created JK Connect, our online program for like any of the listeners. It's at jkconnect.com.au. Go have a look. It's why we do it, because if I didn't have my coaches, like, to straight out ask me, Joel, are you living in abundance or scarcity at the moment? Like, is this coming from a place of fear or love? Like, those kind of questions, well, they're going to change the game for you. Because at the end of the day, getting back to my example, like, all that sacrifice was for what? Why did I not take my wife on a holiday? Why did I not take the kids away? Why? Because it all went away anyway. That financial freedom went anyway. So I did get a coach. I did get mentors, and they showed me how to have this and that. Like, my mentors go overseas. Like, I messaged one the other day. He's like, sorry, I'm overseas. I'm like, dude, didn't you just get back from overseas? And these guys are like mega multimillionaires. They've got more worries than I do, and they still find a way to live in joy. So if it's feeling heavy, it's feeling gross, and it feels like there's a lot of gravity on you and you're getting weighed down, that's the universe telling you that you're on the wrong path. That's a call to action that something needs to change. If you're feeling light, that's the path to enlightenment. If going to work makes you feel light, then you're on the right track. Now, here's the caveat before I like bring you back in, Christine, is like, I am not saying that you are going to love your business every day, and every single day you're going to feel like you're riding a unicorn and clicking your heels together. Like, there's going to be days where you're just going to be like, oh my God, what am I doing? I hate this. And you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to go, I don't like you either. And you're going to go around and go, I don't like you. I don't like you. And you're going to want to like just have a total antisocial breakdown. Just don't live there. Just don't live there, and then you won't feel lonely. Get back to what's important. Remember that your kids love you, or that you got a beautiful wife or a beautiful husband, or like handsome husband. Like, I'm beautiful, but you know what I'm saying? And that you live in a Western society, that you get to listen to stuff like this. Like, you got so much to be grateful for. Just sit in that gratitude and think that every opportunity, every like bit of pain is your product. Your pain is your product. Find how, like, to overcome it. All your challenges are just the next stepping stone for you to get to the next level. So just find ways to manage yourself. And like, just to get back to it, it's been so much easier since I've had a coach. Like, just get yourself a coach, and a good one that's done what it is that you are doing, and not one of these fly-by-nighters that just repackage Tony Robbins stuff and sell your $9.97 program. So that's it.
Oh, I love that, mate. And a lot of it too comes down to culture as well. Like, what kind of culture do you want to create in your business? And if it's one of connection and all those kind of things, then go and create that. You don't have to have employees, you don't have to have people in your business to create an incredible culture for your business. You can do that by the way that you show up. You can do that by the energy and how you project yourself out there in the world when you meet other people, the way that you treat people, how you treat your customers, your clients. You can create an incredible culture within your organization, your business, your entrepreneur idea that never makes anyone feel alone. That always is. It's all about inclusion rather than exclusion. It's all about connection rather than disconnection. So have a think about culture when it comes to feelings of loneliness and isolation, because we've never been in a time where we've been so connected from a technological perspective, but where we've never been so disconnected at the same time. And like, I love technology and I love social media, but it does come with challenges. And one of them is that, it does make us a little bit more anxious. We tend to find ourselves in the comparison game, comparing ourselves to other families, other business owners, other people's success. And that can cause feelings of loneliness. That can cause feelings of failure, so don't get caught up in that. Be really clear on what it is that you want to achieve for your business. And guess what? You're going to have some tough conversations along the way. You're going to have conversations with friends and family and say, hey, I'm not going to be as available for the next year or two. I'm working on something, I'm working on my dreams, my goals, my new business, and I want to get up and running. And it just means I'm going to have to be fully focused. So you might not see me as much as you have been. And then if you've got a family, guess what? You're going to have the conversation with them. Guess what? Mummy's working on this, daddy's working on this, and we're going to have to put a family contract in place. If you're a mum out there and you feel like you're the one that does a lot of the work around the house, put a family contract in place. Get everybody to chip in. Become more resourceful. Rather than trying to find more time, get more resourceful, guys. And when your family are chipping in and doing things to handle the load around the house, it makes your job so much easier, and you're able to stay in your flow, your genius. You're able to focus more on, the income producing things that you need to be focusing on, rather than worrying about who's getting dinner ready or doing that load of washing or those kind of things. So get resourceful. And, I was taught this method once: do, delegate, dump. Okay. When an email comes in, you handle it once. What do I have to do with it? What can I delegate from this email, or what can I dump? Can I dump it? Can I get rid of it? Do I have to do anything? So you either take the action straight away, you either delegate it to somebody else, or you delete it, get rid of it. Do, delegate, dump, or do, delegate, delete. But if you follow that system and you're on top of what's coming in every day, then you don't get those feelings of overwhelm and that kind of thing. So it comes down to really managing your state, and being emotionally intelligent in business is a huge one too, Joel. That's a whole nother topic. But when you can become emotionally intelligent in business, you'll notice that you can manage your state a lot better, and you won't be so depressed. You'll be able to bounce back a lot quicker when you are having those tough days, when you are having, finding that you're sitting in your own little lonely pity party. You'll be able to pull yourself out a lot quicker. It won't affect you for weeks on end or months on end. It'll be like minutes. You'll get it down to minutes. You'll let it affect you for a few minutes, and then you'll be back, because you are so strongly pulled by your purpose, by your vision, your mission in your business, that these feelings, you'll start to get better and better at controlling them, and that's not to say that you can't have your down days, and that's not to say that you can quit, but just the next day, just rehire yourself. If you have a really bad day, something shakes you up, just quit for the rest of the day. Take the rest of the day off, have a good sleep, come back the next day. It always looks different after a good night's sleep. I truly believe that. Nothing feels too bad after a good night's sleep. So that's probably it for me, Joel. That's what I sort of wanted to raise. I mean, we're living in a society where, there is a culture of loneliness out there, but we don't have to play into that culture. We can play above there, and it's taking responsibility for your actions, for your behavior, for your thoughts, for your values, for your habits. And when you start taking responsibility and owning up, taking ownership of where you are in life and in business, and stop playing the blame game, and stop blaming other things for your circumstances. When you start doing that, that's when you start really charging ahead, when you start really getting in the groove of achieving those goals and dreams. So yeah, back to you, buddy. How do you want to close this out?
Yeah, well, I love the responsibility like that. When you were speaking about this before, responsibility was just like coming into my mind, and who are you doing this for? Who are you even, why are you even being a CEO? Why are you even being an entrepreneur? I can tell you when it went to become a disaster for me, I was completely last in line, like everyone else. And when I say everyone else, it's a universal, I meant it. Everyone else had to get theirs before I got mine. I ate last when it comes to that. And I get there's cliches and, context around that, and books that have been written about leaders eat last. And I get it. At the end of the day, in the context of what we're talking about now, if you're an entrepreneur, stop. Your customers not first. Your family's not first. Your friends aren't first. The community's not first. It's you. You're doing this to grow yourself. You're doing this for you. Fill your cup up so much that it overflows onto the next level, which needs to be your significant other and your family, and then your employees, and then your customers. If you want to win at business, stop what I just said, go back, record it, write it down, and put it in your lunchroom. Put it on your office, because that is how you will change the game. The customer isn't always right. You got to do what's right for you. Doesn't mean be an idiot about it. But at the end of the day, you're there to make money, to give yourself and your family a better life, probably better than the one you got brought up in, or whatever it is, So remember that you're doing this for you, and you need to take responsibility for your state. And everything in your life is your responsibility. And when you learn that, like I said, I take 100% responsibility that I could have left the situation that was bad for me, and I knew it was bad for a long time, and I didn't. I was putting everyone else first. There's my excuse. At the core of it, I could have left, because when I got forced to leave, and you want to talk about loneliness, there's a different kind of loneliness when you have no money. There's a loneliness when you have money, and then there's a loneliness when you don't have, because then you really work out who your friends are. So that's one thing. But then, yeah, just to really know that you got to take responsibility. At the end of the day, that's all there is. And something that I'm going to put on my vision board that Christine said before, your days are numbered. They're numbered. It could be tomorrow. It could be tonight. It could be hopefully 50, 60, 70, 100 years down the track, but you just don't know. And something that I'm going to pass on from my coach, he says, Joel, what if you just started now living your day like it really was your last? Would you spend it being lonely? Would you spend it being upset or angry or doing something that you freaking hate for a long period of time? No, you wouldn't. You'd find a way to enjoy your last moments with the people that matter, and go look in the mirror, because you matter. You really do. And like Christine said, there's so many ways that you can find support. Don't believe the hype that it's got to be a lonely man's game or a lonely woman's game. You got this, and that's about it, Christine. I don't know.
I love it, buddy. Love it, love it, love it. So hopefully, guys, that was valuable to you. If you do have feelings of loneliness, reach out to Joel and I. We've probably been through what you're going through, those feelings, those emotions, and we can definitely talk you talk you through it and point you in the right direction of where you can be connected with like-minded people, you know. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't see it as bothering people. That was another thing, Joel, on my journey, was I'd never reach out to anyone because I thought, oh, they're not going to want to hear from little old Christine. I'm going to bother them. I don't want to bother them. But guess what? They're probably just as lonely as you, and they want to be bothered. They want to hear from people who, you know, are looking to succeed. So don't be afraid to reach out to people. Everyone is always, in my journey, I've never come across someone that's gone, no, Christine, I don't want to help you. Like everyone that I have ever asked for advice or some tips has always done it, you know. So don't be afraid to reach out. So that's it from us, guys. Hope you got value from this one. We absolutely love giving the value today, and we can't wait to see you on our next episode of Boss Talks.
Damn. Yeah.